Hey, so what's up? This is the Salon Success Podcast. I'm Joseph Joe Marmolejo.
And I'm Jeff Gross.
This is episode number 2. We're excited. We're getting this rolling. I think the first one went really well with James. And
Yeah, it did.
we just had Brock come in here from Ergo Styling Tools. He gave a demo at our school at the Upland campus. And here's Brock.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys so much for having me. I absolutely love what you guys do here. Every single time I come, it's such an awesome experience. From the students to you guys, the whole campus, it's by far one of my best.
That's good, because I know the students get really excited when they know you're on schedule. And I know that students talk super highly about you from visit to visit. So the students that weren't necessarily around the first time, when you come around the second time, they already know and heard about the class and they're excited for it. So it's pretty cool that we have this relationship that just keeps on growing. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's that just makes me feel so good, right? Because I love getting up and sharing. You know, it's important. Everyone's got a story.
and you got a really cool story.
Thanks.
For the people who don't know, you want to tell a little bit about your story?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
How you got in the industry?
For sure. Yeah. So I grew up in Los Angeles, Southern California.
Cool.
All through my, teens to early 20s, I was in bands, DJing, and I thought music was going to be my thing. At the end of the day, it didn't work out. We were so close, but the band and I broke up just due to some really dumb issues, stupid things we were doing at the time. It was called the Dream Team. And at that moment in my life, I was trying to figure everything out. It actually started because I got a job working at a Halloween store. I lied my way into becoming the assistant manager, which I never managed anything, let alone managing myself. And so one of the girls, while it was still closing because it's seasonal, she said, "You should get a job at Nordstrom's." And I was like, "What? No, like that's way too far for where I'm living," and blah, 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 blah. But she ended up filling out the resume for me. I applied and I ended up getting the job. And for anyone that doesn't know, Nordstrom's at the time was hourly plus commission. So I don't know, the more I put into it, the more I got. And it's kind of like a lot of things in life. The more you put something into, like the more you give it your heart, the more you work hard at something, the more it will give back. Right? And so during the holidays, 23 years old, it was like, I don't know, a week or two before Christmas, and handsome silver fox looking gentleman and beautiful blonde come walking into my apartment. And I go up to them and introduce myself. "Hey guys, welcome to Nordstrom's. My name's Brock. Is there anything I can help you out with?" And so the gentleman introduced himself as Robert and his wife was Marlene. And so we start talking, and I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes into it, Marlene, the wife, she grabs my arm and she goes, "Brock, you have really nice tattoos. You make a great arm model." I'm like, "What is this lady talking about? An arm model?"
Yeah.
But she's like, "Yeah, we own a professional hairstyling tool company called Ergo Styling Tools." And I had no idea what she was talking about. She's like, "Yeah, it's a professional hair company, blah, 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 blah." Or whatever. All I cared about at that time was making the sale.
Yeah.
But I do remember as I'm checking them out, the gentleman reaches in his back pocket, hands me his business card. He says, "Give me a call after the holidays. I'd like to share with you a little bit about the hair industry." And once again, I get in my mind, I'm like, what is this dude talking about? Hair industry. I cut my hair myself. I bleach my hair myself. I have fantastic stands. Like the only thing I knew. And I'm like, only women do hair for the most part, right?
Yeah.
At least that's what I thought. So holidays came and went, and I was just trying to do something different. I was done with Nordstrom's, collected a whole bunch of different business cards. So I started going through them, right? And I remember stumbling upon Robert's business card. And I have to be real. The main reason that I called him was not about anything other than it was the closest to my house. It was literally the closest to my house. And so I give him a call. He goes, "Hi." He actually answered. He goes, "Hi, this is Robert Reed of Ergo Styling Tools. How may I help you?" And me being not the most professional, I was probably like, "What's up, dude? It's Brock, that guy from Nordstrom's. How you doing, bro?" Like, just super not professional. Yeah, I love a classic Brock, right? So He goes, Brock, how's it going? And we just start talking. And he starts telling me about his background with Sassoon and Hikari Shears and this, that, and the other. I had no idea what he was even talking about, but it was interesting. It was an interesting story. And so as we're getting towards the end, he goes, Brock, there's the biggest hair show on the West Coast called the International Salon and Spa Expo. Come check it out. I think you would really enjoy it. It's like, all right, sure. Yeah, why not? Mm-hmm. So I hang up the phone. I remember talking to my girlfriend at the time, which is my wife now. And she just thought I was crazy. She's like, why do you meet some random guy at Nordstrom's bringing you to an event? It just didn't make sense, right? But I went, and I remember driving from Santa Clarita to Long Beach, really nervous inside, had no idea what I was getting myself into. I get to the convention center, I get inside, I get my pass. And you gotta go down those escalators to go in the main convention hall. I go down the escalator, and I take one step inside. And at that time, I didn't know who he was, but now I do. It was Nick Rozier, like in the front doing hair, and this brand and the other, like going crazy, like people tatted up, dressed in black. It was just a world I'd never seen before. And I share this all the time, but it was this overwhelming sense of belonging that I had that, I don't know, it just felt right. I was only going to hang out for a little bit. I made my way to the booth. I ended up hanging out all day. And he introduced me to some people that to this day are some of my bestest friends. And as I'm leaving, he says, Brock, give me a call tomorrow. I was like, sure. So the next day comes and I give him a call. And he goes, Brock, because I want to offer you something. And at that time, I didn't know what this would actually mean. But he said, when I was working for Sassoon, Vidal offered me to take a sabbatical, a time off to go to school paid, right? And he said no. He said no to him. And he goes, I regret that. And he goes, I want to offer, I'll help you get into a local cosmetology school, and you'll become an intern. And after school, you'll like pack and ship bags and just do all that stupid stuff. Or at least that's what I thought. And I remember I was like, let me think about this. When you're going through things like this in your life, you can't fully realize like what's at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Can't envision it.
Cannot at all. It's with so many things in life. I mean, especially with students now going to school, like it's so hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But what I did was I talked to my wife. She thought I was crazy going to cosmetology, which is weird, right? For me, never even thinking about it or talking about it, right?
Yeah.
And I did it. There was something that compelled me to do it. And for the people that don't know, I went to cosmetology school almost a decade ago. I started out as an intern at Ergo, and now I've worked my way up to literally I work right below Robert. I'm in charge of, all of our e-commerce, social media, trade show, events, management. I'm rebranding the entire company. So I've been able to take this in almost a 10-year amount of time and bring really hard on the business side, right? And as well as the creative side. I'm the lead artistic team member, but that's soon coming to an end. So I feel like I've been talking for a while, but I guess I'll just share this is like, I put my whole heart and soul into it. And I'm at this point in my life now where, I worked in salons, I built up my career. And unfortunately, my back, I suffer from fibromyalgia and degenerative disc disease in my back. And my back is just fucked up. And I had to make the conscious decision, like, all right, Brock, this is it. Like you either go really hard on one side and continue to push yourself, but not be able to walk in, a couple of years, or say, you know what, it gave me something truly amazing. It transformed my entire life. And there's the next chapter. And so although I'm closing that door, I'm still kicking ass at Ergo on the business side, and I've got some new stuff coming. So I don't know. It's just been a crazy thing. It's like, I always share this quote at the end of my classes that goes, the greats weren't great because a birthday could paint. The greats were great because they paint a lot. And I'm not saying anything about my story. I'm just saying like, we have to push. Don't give up. When one door closes or it starts to shut, that's okay. There's other opportunities. We just have to be open-minded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love your story. I love how you're able to make so much out of it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so you told us a little bit about your backstory. You told us a little bit about what's happening now. What's happening next?
So right now I'm on this really just new, amazing path. So me being creative, right? I'm having to close the door, which is awesome for hair because my cousin Zach, who is just killing it, is hopefully going to be taking over that role, right?
I was going to ask that.
I'm like, we're trying to groom him. I mean, this was literally his first class today, and he freaking killed it, man.
Yeah.
And he's going to continue to do it. So I'm going to help him. Alan Papaleo is going to help him. And so really to help transform and mold him. But for me, right, I'm really working hard on the business side of Ergo, trying to blow it the heck up. The rebranding is going to really transform Ergo as a company. But on the other side, I started a podcast.
Cool.
It's called Back to Your Story. It's based on real people, real stories. I just launched this past Friday at 5 p.m. And, you know, the focus around it is that it's not hair-based by any means, but it's focused on an individual story. At the end of the day, we all have a story, where we came from, who we are, where we're going, just like I'm sharing now. But I dive deep into it, and I talk about, you know, maybe things that people not always want to hear, everything from life, mental illness, drugs, sex, everything's on the table. And I've been able to bring people from like activists, actors, musicians, hairstylists, MRI specialists, just like the whole plethora of people. I've had 16 people on, and I just launched 5. And, you know, this story that I'm trying to share with people is about the thing that unites us all as human beings. And at the end of the day, when you strip away the layers, we're all the same. We are truly all the same. We might think differently, we might look differently, we might act differently. But there's something inside of us that unites us all. And if we can just look past the bullshit, especially in a polarized society, and see who these human beings really are. I mean, we shouldn't be shunned away from society because we made a mistake. Imagine if every single time you made a mistake, you're like, screw that, you know? So this kind of strips away the layers. I dive deep into a person's life, and it's been really rewarding. I've had on amazing people, and I'm continuing to push. And, you know, back to your story, it means a lot to me. And so this is that next chapter in my life creatively. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Really cool.
Yeah, I love, we were talking about this a little bit before you came in. I love how you're able to make something more out of the opportunities that are given to you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just about doing hair when you're in this beauty industry. It's about what can you make out of the opportunities that you're presented. And it seems like you're making the most out of it. Can you kind of elaborate on that? You know, we have students coming in every day and they're looking for what their career is going to be.
Yeah,
they're getting their license, but they need to know that there's career options. So, yeah, you want to elaborate on that?
Absolutely. There's that old saying, make lemons out of lemonade, right? As I shared before, the hair industry transformed my entire life. But when you get into the hair industry, that does not mean the hair industry is your entire life, and that's the only thing that you can do. We have to diversify as human beings. And so for me personally, I knew that one door was closing, but if I just stayed behind that closed door, my life would have spiraled out of control. I suffer. I have manic bipolar disorder, and I can go up and I can go down, and that's life, right? But one thing that it allows me to do is just push past the bullshit. And for me, I have this drive and motivation that I want to make my story, and not let anyone else change it. People can influence it, people can help grow on it, right? And so when that door closed, I knew I had to open another door. And because who I am, I had to open that door quickly. My friends think I'm crazy, which I am, but that's okay. We're all faced with stuff in our life, and the hair industry can give you so much more than just being behind the chair, being on stage. Like I said, it gave me the greatest friends I've ever had. It united my cousin and I. It gave me a mentor by the name of Robert Reed, I lost my dad when I was 17. He literally has become such a pivotal role. He married my wife and I, right? It's so insane. And so I have to look at things from a different perspective. And if you just let things keep you down all the time, it's going to keep you down. You have to push forward. It's important.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have any other advice you want to give to anybody that's, starting their career, whether it's starting beauty school or just got their license, or hey, maybe if they're not even in this industry? What's your advice to somebody that's looking?
I'm sorry to get you.
Looking to find who they are.
Yeah. So first off, the hair industry, right? My life would be different right now if I would have focused on my body position within the hair industry. When I started out, from blow drying to washing heads at a shampoo bowl, because I'm taller, I'm constantly hunched over. Well, what that did is for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours a day, every single day, because I was like 7 days a week in the beginning, it destroyed my back. Mm-hmm. And so we have to be able to take care of our bodies. We have to be working from the legs, not the back. It's that old saying, when you lift a box, you lift with your legs, not your back. Same thing with blow drying, same thing with shampooing, right? Use your legs. Mm-hmm. And so that's like the number one advice that I like to share all students trying to break into the industry. Mm-hmm. And the last advice, and I just said it, be who you are. You have to be who you are. Life is a blink of an eye. We only have a finite amount of time. And we take this and we make it however we make it. And everyone is faced with shit in their life. That is it, right? But if we can find our people, because there are people in life that help build you up. There are people in life that help break you down. If you can find your people and you can continue to push along, and those people will help you, you'll help those people, you'll see how your life starts to change. But if you have these things in your head, right, and you're not listening to your gut feeling, right, if you just let your emotions get the best of you, it can take you down a spiral, whatever it is, a job, a love person. I'm a big believer in going with your gut. But, my number one advice is fucking do it. My buddy, Tyler Turner, the reason that I've pushed so hard with this podcast and just who I am, he gave me the greatest advice ever. Whenever I tried to create a company, whenever I tried to do something, I spent so much time on like the little shit, the website, the social media, this, that, all of that stuff, but not actually doing it, right? Mm-hmm. All those things are important. But if you spend so much time on these things, by the time the real things come, you get burnt out, you get tired. And my whole life, that's how I've been. And so when we talked about the podcast a few months ago, he said, "Bro, just fucking do it." That is the number one advice that has ever been given to me. It's so weird. But I closed the blinders. I said, no, I'm going to do this, and this. And what the greatest thing about it is? I've reached out to so many people, and they've been so kind, and they've came on and they've shared their stories. They've introduced me to other people. Someone today, one of the students is introduced me to her husband, who's a stuntman for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, right? And all these other little things. But it's just like, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. Like, who gives a shit? Like, if you fail, you fail. You learn from that. You build up on that.
Don't be afraid of failure.
My failures have been my greatest strengths. Mm-hmm. And so I'm at this point in my life now where I can see the light, and I'm pushing and I'm pushing, and I'll do everything in my power to make it happen.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. The mindset you have on everything, the perception that you attack life with. Yeah. It's really inspiring. I hope that our students can take a lot from this. I know they take a lot when you give our demos. It's my third time I've seen one of your classes, and you have a way about teaching that's really relatable to the students. It's really impactful, I think. And I think it's just always an honor, or always great, a little treat when you come. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
So what are the highlights of being in this industry? The highlights of your career so far?
That's a really good question. So when I started out, when I was younger, I wanted to be a rock star, travel, tour, like all that stuff.
Okay.
And traveling, getting to see places, new places, especially when I was educating. Every other weekend I'd be somewhere, meeting new people, just doing amazing, unique things. So the traveling has been fantastic, but I go back to the highlights have been the people that I've met. Mm-hmm. The individuals that have inspired me and inspired my life. I'm not the hairdresser that has 50,000 followers on Instagram. I was never even the best hairdresser in the world, right? By any means, I'm decent, right? But I'm real with people. I'm able to communicate with people. And the highlight for me has been able to communicate and meet these individuals all across the nation that have showed me so much love. And now some of them are my bestest friends in the entire world. And now getting to see my cousin Zach just really push forward and become I always say he's the hairdresser that I always wish I could have become. So I'm colorblind. There's a lot of things. I let my head get to me all the time, and I'm learning to really block that out now. And then my wife, because I got into the hair industry, and I remember it was so funny. She came to Robert and I, and she said, should I get into the makeup industry or baking? This was like 6 years ago. And we're like, you should get into baking, because she is a lot quieter. You know, we are two different people. We're two different people. But she said, screw that. She did it. 6 years later, I mean, she was working on a movie, like she's been working on a movie with Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep, and she's in The Union, Dr. Phil, all these amazing things, and it's transformed her life, right? And the hair industry, by far, gave me that, because I truly believe the hair industry inspired her to do something creative as well, right? She's so fucking creative. And being 16 years together, and you know what I said earlier? I said, we're different, right? And we are so different, but our differences have allowed us to become the best people that we can be, right? Because sometimes when you're very alike with an individual, you can step on each other's toes, or like, we're so different. Obviously, we like a lot of the same things, but our personality is so different. But it's something I just learned.
Yeah, people tend to surprise themselves when they're met with a new challenge or task. Like that's something that's relatable, I think, in my life and my experiences. Like there's been so many opportunities where I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but then once you start trying, it's like I can't think back of something that I didn't really put my mind to, that I didn't accomplish.
Exactly.
And then after you do that a few times, it just becomes almost like mental muscle memory, where it's like, yeah, I know it seems intimidating, but all you gotta do is take the first step.
That's it.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do.
First step.
So yeah, so that's like a perfect. When you're telling that story, that like totally made me think. She's quiet.
Yeah.
You said baking. She's like, no, I'm gonna do it anyways. Yeah. Less than 6 years, she's on set.
Dude, like killing it. Like she's been on set, but now she's just killing it.
That's cool.
And it's so cool because I'm like my wife's number one fan. I'm like her fucking cheerleader. And we've come so far as a relationship because I used to be a douchebag of a boyfriend. Really, I was. And as we get older, we get faced with things like, are we going to grow up and become the better person? And for me, it was getting into therapy, really looking at my life, seeing, okay, well, there are things I have to work on. And if I want this person in my life, you better be willing. I'm going to do anything to make that happen. And so now we're at this point in our relationship where it's just amazing. And, we just push each other so hard. And I think it's great. I think it's great to support your loved ones. It's great to support your friends. And it's good to have a circle of people that believe in you day in and day out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
it takes a village.
It does. It does. It really does. It's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, hey, so I just admire how much that you're able to really self-evaluate yourself and to come out here and say, hey, I need to work on my body when you were first starting out. And your advice to everybody else, their very first advice is work on your body.
So true, though, because I can't tell you, because I've been doing this pretty much since I got a driver's license. I've been around beauty schools. And I can't tell you how many students or graduates or alumni that I see, not a ton, like not a billion, but frequently enough to where I remember being told it more than once, where they're, a few years into the industry and they're like, man, my back started hurting, so I had to transition, or my wrist.
Tunnel.
Something like that. So
my mom got bone spurs.
See?
Bone spurs in her foot.
It's no joke. Like, hairdressing's no joke. People from the outside don't realize it, but it is no joke.
You're on your feet.
You're on your feet
day
long. So we have to take care of our body. We have to take care of our mind, our body. It's so important.
It is.
And you said your advice is to take care of your body. Then you said, hey, I had to come out here and to grow my relationship, to grow as a person. I had to go to therapy, work on my own. myself, on yourself. So I think I really admire that you could always look to improve, whether it's your body, your mind, your spirit, everything. Absolutely. Your technique.
You have to. Your
communication. I'm assuming you've probably gotten so much better at communicating.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I just become more honest, right? More honest with myself. I tell my wife now, because I don't know, I'm on this trip now where it's like, I want to be evaluated because I want to grow, right? Grow as a human being. And I tell her to call me out on my flaws. I ask my cousin if I'm doing something stupid, call me out on it, right? Because I want to face these things head on. And they don't say things in like a dick way. They're just like, hey, Brock, you're blah, 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 blah. And it's not all the time. But what happens though is if you can grow and learn and become a better person and really just be like, okay, this is who I am, your life is going to be so much better. You cannot completely grow as a human being if you don't face your deepest, darkest things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so do you have anybody that you'd recommend that our students, our listeners, follow for inspiration?
Yeah, absolutely. I had Dre here on the podcast like a couple weeks ago, a week ago, whatever it is, and it's on there. It's Dre Hair, Rockstar Lifestyle with the Warren Buffett Mindset, and he's an inspiration. He truly is. He is the type of kid that just hustles, and won't take no for an answer. And has done some of the most amazing things that you can imagine. Done every famous DJ's hair, owns an amazing salon in Hollywood, and just lives his life on his own terms, right? So I definitely would follow, Dre Hair. Another one of my inspirations, Joe Rogan.
Me too. I'm doing nonstop.
He is, I have to say the two most influential people in my life. It's so weird. One, my wife, because she's helped me change, become a better me. Two is Joe Rogan. Like, no bullshit. Some of his podcasts, the guests that he brings on, really makes you evaluate and look at your own life and ways that you can make it better. And it's
humbling too.
It is. I love that. And so it's allowed me to just really, really do that, man, because, if you listen to him at all, it's like he's an open book for the most part. And he can change his mind. For me, like, change his mind. Like, that's totally fine. I'm not stuck on
biased against certain subjects.
Yeah, it's just
admits when he doesn't know something.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And he's highly intelligent on top.
He is.
Like,
highly intelligent.
The guy knows everything.
He does. But he inspires a lot of people. So for sure. And then the third would be Robert Reed. Although he's not on Instagram or social, he's on Facebook. Yeah. He's just an inspiration. He's an inspiration.
I know him personally too. I've known him since I was super young. So definitely super nice guy. Every time I see him, it's like, you just saw me. Yeah. He's an awesome dude to be around. Yeah. So, very motivational too.
So I met him last time you
the right thing to say.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure. A little crazy, but aren't we all?
Yeah, who was it?
Stubborn. No, I'm just joking. I'm trying to call you out, Robert. I love you more than that.
What do Ergo's social media? Do you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can follow Ergo at Ergo Styling Tools, as well as YouTube at Ergo Styling Tools.
Ask Ergo?
Yes, that's the website. It's askergo.com. And then Ergo Styling Tools on all social channels except TikTok. And what else? askergo.com. You can find all our tools, and we're in the middle of a big rebranding. We're still about 6 months away, but I'm really excited to share it with the world. People are going to love it.
What about your podcast? Where can people find it? Where could they listen to it?
Thanks.
How could they get in touch with you?
Yeah. So, for me, my personal Instagram, which is kind of, both of the podcasts, Brock is my story. So at Brock is my story on Instagram. And then on Instagram as well, it's called at Back to Your Story. So Back to Your Story is the podcast. And then Brock is my story, both on Instagram. There's a link in the bio that'll take you to, my feed. You can also find it on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all of that. So it's called Back to to Your Story. And I put everything on the line. And every Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm coming out with 5 to 2 episodes.
Jeez, yeah. You're really pumping.
Yeah, I am.
It's inspiring us.
It means a lot. Yeah, I've been doing a fuck ton, but bless my wife and my cousin and everyone that's been so supportive, because they're long form podcasts, 3 hours long, and I got everyone to. I have a studio in the house, but I still need them to be quiet. Don't have the heater on; it's cold. But they
got my hair so hot.
It's so stupid.
All those little things come together.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else heard the people walking around upstairs. I was looking up, going, "Oh my God, please stop."
But I want to thank you both for allowing me to come on and share my story, right? Because I'm always hearing other people's story, and although this is just a small tidbit of my story, I appreciate it. I appreciate the heck out of both of you. I'd love to have you both on the podcast. No joke.
I'd love
Seriously.
it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Let's do that. Let's work this out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Well, appreciate you coming on here. We have the pleasure of already knowing your story, and I hope we have a lot of listeners out there who take full advantage of your story and check out your channel. Sounds like you got a lot of cool stuff going on. I'm definitely going to check it out.
I'm going to subscribe right now to the podcast.
That's right.
Back to Your Story.
Back to Your Story.
Go ahead.
No, I've had just some great guests on, and it's just cool to talk about it. It really is. So thank you for giving me the platform to share it. And you can always send me a direct message. I will reply. And that's that. Thank you guys.
All right. Hey, thanks, Brock Goldberg. This is Joe Marmolejo.
This is Jeff Gross.
And thank you, Salon Success Academy.
Thank you, Salon Success. Try that one more time. Thank you, Salon Success Academy. Really appreciate it.
Cool.
Anything else you want me to say? Plug it?
No. All right. Back to your story.
Peace out.
Thanks.